we have finally made our way to the humans of Middle-earth. This is the second to last episode in a series where we're recasting Lord of the Rings. We're doing it for a potential TV series where we can really explore the characters in the forgotten storylines. This will be the last major characters that we cast. I will be doing that last episode, but for forgotten characters, so any character from the books that never really made an appearance in the films. But today we're talking about the humans and the men of Lord of the Rings. And they may actually be my least favorite casting decision throughout the entire trilogy. Really, other than Thanon, in my opinion, every other actor is really replaceable. I understand that probably a lot of you disagree with that. You're probably attached to some of these portrayals. But this is the one where I think we can actually improve on the original casting, which is rather impossible when it comes to Peter Jackson's version of Lord of the Rings. I'll explain it further when I go through the casting decisions. But today we're casting Éowyn, Éomer, Théoden, Denethor, and Faramir. So let's recast Lord of the Rings. First up, we have Denethor. He is the ruling steward of Gondor. His role in the movie slightly differs from the books. In my opinion, the Denethor in the movies was a little bit too heightened. Although he's affected by Sauron's return and the death of Boromir, it's taken to dramatic effect in the movies. A little bit of that subtlety is lost. He seems completely insane and unable to act as steward. Rather in the books, I always felt like he was a strong leader who was swayed and influenced by the Palantir. The movies always perceived him as weak and corrupt from the beginning, and the death of Boromir really caused him to lose all reason. I want to highlight that Denethor that was more able and slowly affected, rather than just madness because of Boromir's death. I want someone with screen presence that really shows you why they are meant to lead. That's why I think Anthony Hopkins would absolutely kill this role. He has the presence, and I can get behind him as a leader, but I also think he can perfectly translate that slow warping of his mind, one that makes people around him question him, and do it with a lot of subtlety. He's also appropriate age for the role. Denethor in the books is actually supposed to be 89, far older than we see him in the films. And if you've seen Anthony Hopkins recently, he still has it. Just watch the first season of Westworld.
Sadly, in order to restore things, the situation demands a blood sacrifice. See, Arnold and I designed every part of this place. It was our dream. Did you really think I would let you take it from me?
It's a role that deserves to be more layered, and Anthony Hopkins is an amazing actor who could bring more subtlety and nuance to the role. So Anthony Hopkins as Denethor. Next up, we have Denethor's son, Faramir. Now, it's pretty much a meme at this point how much Denethor loved Boromir and cared very little for Faramir. And the movies leaned into this really hard. And that might not be as true as the movies would let you believe. But beyond that, and more importantly, Faramir's character in the books is one of my favorites, and he gets incredibly shortchanged in the movies. And as his father, his character kind of gets warped into something else. In the books, he's kind and soft with Frodo, and is actually one of the few that resists the ring, and not what the movies painted him to be, this conflicted individual. That's why I want an actor who can portray the kinder side of this character, while looking like they can still hold their own in battle. It's also important that he looks something like Liev Schreiber, who I cast as Boromir. That's why I went with Sebastian Stan. He has that softer, quieter side to him, and as the Marvel movies have shown us, he can really hold his own in an action sequence. It's also worth noting that Faramir and Boromir actually have dark hair in the books, so he actually fits the description better than the original casting. But looks aside, his demeanor, and specifically him as Bucky Barnes, and his connection with Cap, really sells me on why he'd be a great Faramir.
Was that the time you used our train money to buy hot dogs?
You blew $3 trying to win that stuffed bear for a redhead.
What was her name again?
Dolores. You called her Doc.
She's gotta be 100 years old right now.
So are we, pal.
So Sebastian Stan as Faramir. Next up, we have Théoden. Now, rather than the other humans we've cast so far, I love Bernard Hill's performance in this role. The transition from weak, crippled old man to fully formed king is really special. His moments in Helm's Deep with Aragorn are some of my favorite in the trilogy. Normally, I try and change it up at least a little bit with the character, but in Théoden's case, I think he's perfect in the films, and the exact Théoden that I want to see. So who can actually capture that performance, and really expand on it, and really become that character? Gary Oldman is my answer to that question. The man is one of the best living actors working today. He carries weight behind him, that weight that Theoden needs. He really transforms in every role that he takes on, and he brings something really new to Thanon. I can see him providing even more depth and even more gravitas to the character who already has tons.
A hero. Not the hero we deserved, but the hero we needed. Nothing less than a knight. Shining.
So Gary Oldman as Theoden. Next up we have Éowyn. She's really the only strong female character in the books. Now in the books she is rather cold and unhappy, and she isn't okay with playing nurse while the men do the fighting. Now in the films, Éowyn kind of has a crush on Aragorn, which I necessarily don't agree with. I know she has feelings for him in the book as well, but in the movies it feels like a high school crush. She's kind of swooning over him. I want Éowyn to be strong and forceful. There's actually a great scene in the books where she tells off Aragorn. That's why for casting of Éowyn, I want to lean into that. It's important we have that demeanor and strength of character, and one that isn't wavered. She should be strong and bold, and be a little bit more fierce than the original version we saw. She should also know her way around an action scene. Now, I don't think Miranda Otto did bad in the role, but I never bought into her being a warrior, someone who can really hold their own in battle. That's why I went with Florence Pugh. First off, she's been killing it recently. She's great in everything I've seen her in, but she has that strong will, not only in most of the characters she's played, but in real life.
Well, I'm not a poet. I'm just a woman. And as a woman, there's no way for me to make my own money. Not enough to earn a living or to support my family. And if I had my own money, which I don't, that money would belong to my husband the moment we got married. And if we had children, they would be his, not mine. They would be his property. So don't sit there and tell me that marriage isn't an economic proposition, because it is.
I'm really looking towards her role in Fighting with My Family, where she plays a wrestler with that strong will. But I'm also looking at Black Widow. Of course I haven't seen the film yet, but I have no doubt how much of a badass she'll be in that film. She can really do it all. It's worth noting she's the exact age that Éowyn should be, and I think a younger, more ambitious character would work much better than the previous version. She's absolutely perfect for this role in my eyes. So Florence Pugh as Éowyn. Next up we have Éowyn's brother, Éomer. Éomer's role in the movies was a little underdeveloped. I actually think that Karl Urban did a wonderful job with what he was given. Problem is, he wasn't really given that much to do. There were things, as I know in most films there are, that need to be cut. And unfortunately, his relationship with Aragorn and Gimli all fell by the wayside. I've always seen Éomer as more of a youthful man, but one who's more decisive and has a good moral compass. That's why I think Tom Hopper would work really well in this role. We've seen him in The Umbrella Academy as the Muscle, but it's in Game of Thrones that he really shows why he'd be great in this role. That unwavering support of his father and his strong stoic nature.
Who are you?
Stupid boy.
I'm Dick Hunt.
This war has already wiped one great house from the world. Don't let it happen again. Bend the knee.
I will not.
So Tom Hopper as Éomer. So there are the humans and really the last major roles of Lord of the Rings. Stay tuned when I release the Forgotten Characters episode. As always, thank you to my patrons Adam Gray, Jeremy Jacobs, Jenny Edwards, Gabe Mashonda, Gunnar Legland, Colleen West, Marco Perry, Roland, Adam McShange, Shalon Hudson, Kieran Hunt, Joris Conan, Brandon Warner, Sweevy, Alex Towell, Derek B. Bell, Jacob Wolf, Alexander Gardulo, Lisa Hewer, and Rachel Kilker. Thank you for your support, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.